Hey everyone, my name is Crazy M and today I want to show you how to maximize your damage when you're playing with lock-on launchers. So the first thing we're gonna look at is the Igla. Now the Igla requires you to lock onto an air vehicle, launch the missile and keep the lock alive while the missile is in the air. So if you lose your lock on, the missile will not hit the target. If the pilot is using flares as a countermeasure, to lock on under the different flares, and if you use the CCM you just lose the lock completely. Now if you keep the lock alive and you just lose the lock or you lock onto the flares, the missile will just straight go where it kind of supposed to is, but it will finally miss the target. Now one thing that you gotta see is if you just go out of the Igla scope, the missile will start heading straight into the sky, and this is a mechanic that we're gonna use to our advantage. Not only can we use this knowledge to regain our lock on the enemy chopper more easily, but we can also find a way that two missiles can hit the chopper pretty much at the same time and the pilot is nearly down before he can even realize what is happening. The whole issue is really simple. You just lock onto the helicopter and as soon as you fire your missile, just go out of the lock. Then reload your next missile into it, lock the chopper again and fire your missile. This way your first missile will hit and then the second missile will come down up from the sky and still hit it. You get about 7 seconds time for that, and the really practical range is about 120 meters max, but I haven't tested it to the full extent, so you have to keep it in a short time frame for it to work. This also works if the pilot flares the first missile, because it doesn't matter, the flare effect is gone after the 7 seconds and the missile can hit perfectly. In case of ECM you're more screwed though, you can't really do that much if the pilot is smart enough and the missile you won't be able to lock on fast enough again, so ECM is definitely a good choice for our pilot if you want to counter those Iglas. We can also translate this mechanic over to the Javelin and the tanks, so basically the same thing again. You can shoot one missile, then just go out of the Igla scope, the missile will head straight up in the sky, shoot the second one and both will hit the tank pretty much at the same time, doing about 50 damage, which is quite a ton if you're doing it at once, and the tank will mostly be disabled maybe at that point, so you can have a good chance of taking it down afterwards. One thing I gotta say though, if the tank driver is using eye or smoke and he's popping that smoke as soon as you launch your first missile, the time that it takes for the eye or smoke to vanish is too long for your missile to come back after relocking the target. So this means that if the driver is smart and stays within the smoke, your missile is lost and you have to lock in another time again, and this gives him a lot of time to escape. On the other hand though, if he pops the smoke and keeps on driving, you can still regain your lock and hit the target again. In any case, be sure if you see that he's popping the smoke and you don't know if he moves or not, just go out of the lock, don't even stare at it anymore, reload the second missile. If you're lucky and he keeps driving, you can get both missiles down there at once, if not you will still get the second hit in. Another thing is that the smoke screen, the second one that you unlock, really doesn't do anything about Javelins as far as we've tested it right now. So if he pops the smoke, don't worry at all, reload your second missile, regain your lock and your both missiles will hit. The smoke doesn't even counter Javelins at all, at least from what we've experienced. The time frame here again is about 7 to 8 seconds. The last thing I'm going to show you has to do with the SRAW. Now while this isn't a lock-on weapon, you can also achieve double hits with that weapon. So the way you do it is just aim straight up in the sky and then reload your SRAW and then aim at the tank with the second missile and both missiles will hit the tank. Now one thing I gotta say here, if you shoot up in the sky, be sure to go into the scope, because otherwise the missile will not be guided. You can also achieve triple hits with that, but it's very tricky, very short time frame, so I won't even go over that. But two missiles at once work perfectly. Again, I believe 7 about 8 seconds time frame here. Leave a thumbs up if this was helpful, be sure to subscribe for more Battlefield 4 content, have an awesome day and I'll see you next time.